like we're mixed. Like, for example, in my family, my mom, her family is mixed of Indians from Mayans, which is on the south, and blacks. And my dad is mixed of Indians and Spaniard. So that's why our looks is not totally, you know, like indigenous from the country. So you can tell, you can see the difference between one and another. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you can find somebody that is really rich and looks, you know, indigenous, and you can find somebody that is really poor and is blonde with blue eyes.
You know,
it's exactly the same conversion system that they had, right? They had pagans in like Jerusalem and the Romans, right? They were pagans, and they have a lot of gods. But when Jesus died, and they wanted to convert everybody else, then they mixed everything so people will be easier to practice Christianity. So the same thing happened in the Americas. All America, Latin America, South America, it was the same thing. They took their own gods and switched them into a virgin, or you know, this is going to be the Jesus of this mountain, for example. So the indigenous will have, instilled in their minds is their God, but in the mind of the Christians that came to convert them, they're practicing Catholicism. So it's not the real deal, I will say. Here in the U.S., Christmas is all about Santa Claus and the gifts under the tree. In my country, it's about praying. They pray that day. My mom, for example, the youngest of the family has to place the baby Jesus on Christmas. And they pray, and you know, we used to go to church that night. And then it's a family night. Everybody eats together. And then after that, then you can go whenever you want. But it's a family function, and it's a religious function. It's not about presents. We acquired the presents later on, but it was actually, it's more a religious thing. Yeah, it was like Sunday school for Muslims, right? That you go to the mosque and they teach you the basics of Islam when you're little. So it was kind of like that. My mom was, she started going to these Catholicism classes, and they had special classes for the kids. So that's when I used to go. It was a convent for nuns. So the nuns will teach us, you know, like Nuhu story, the Noah story, and Job story, and you know, just Bible story, Bible time. That's what we will do. And then we will used to draw. I'm not a very good drawer. And one thing that sticks in my mind until now is that one time I draw probably Jesus and the cross or whatever, and I show it to the nun, and she looked at me. I make stick dolls, and she looked at it and she's like, "This is horrible. This is so." I was like 7, 8 years old. You know, this is just terrible. What, I mean, you call this drawing? So you know, that sticks in my head. It sticks forever. So it wasn't very pleasant. I didn't like to go. Yeah, we don't go on Sundays because Sunday's church day. So we used to go with my mom on the afternoons on Thursdays. We used to go on Thursdays, yeah. Yeah, she was just a worshiper. She didn't, she would just take the classes, but she's very Catholic. When I convert to Islam, she actually went and talked to the priest. Like kind of like to make sure I was not going to hell. Okay, I went from the primary school to high school. I went to the same schools that my brothers went. So the elementary school was the name is Escuela de Guelatao. That was the school name. It's 6 years. Then from there I went to the middle school, which at this point they're all public schools. I never went to a private school. They're public schools, and it was called Escuela Federal, like federal school number 1, number 2. So I was in number 3. So that's where I went for the middle school. And high school, it's called Colegio de Bachilleres, and it's also a public school. And in my country, public schools are very, very good. The system is almost as good as the ones here in the U.S. So they prepare us very good in primary school. And then after that, I went to college. I went to engineering and textile engineering, and I was there for 2 years. Between that time also I worked in a factory with one of my cousins. I was in charge of the lab, the tincture lab. They used to do the fabrics for the jeans, for Guess, Calvin Klein, all of these brands. They make them in Mexico, the fabric, and then they also put together the jeans in Mexico, and then they bring them to the U.S. to have them stamped with the brand name, and then send them back to sell them again. So I was working there, and I was going to college. So I worked nights, and I went to college during the day. That was the time when I met my husband. So I only did 2 years of college, and after that, in elementary school, the first year I was very smart. Let me tell you why I was very smart. Because my mom put me in a private kindergarten. So in the private kindergarten, they teach us how to do everything that you're going to do in first grade. So first grade, I was very good. My grades were very good, but my behavior was terrible because I was bored. So I would bother everybody. And then from there, I would say that I was like a, B, not so much A, maybe a B student. But see, in my house, my mom with 4 kids, at that time, 2 of them going to college, my education wasn't the priority. So, and in my country, now it's different, it's getting better, but at that time, women, like in many Arab countries, are, they're thought that you're just gonna get married and take care of the kids and take care of the house. So why would you put too much effort into school? So school wasn't something, prioritized. Cleaning the house was a priority, but doing school chores and things like that was a second thing. So during middle school, I think it was more like the social thing to do, just be with the friends and starting wearing makeup. And I was always the tallest of my class. So I was not considered a bully, but people will not mess with me because I'm tall for Mexican standard. I'm tall. Here I'm average, but back home I was always from the tallest. And high school was experimentation. School-wise, I was pretty good. Math has never been my strength, but everything else, like social studies, chemistry, all of those things I really liked. And in high school, we have to take selectives, which takes us to what we're gonna do in college. But I want to be a doctor because my brother is a doctor. So I really liked it. I wanted to be a doctor. So I took the electives of health, and I did wonderful. But when I came to take the test for medical school, since I was not very good in math, I didn't went through the medical school. So my next option was engineering. So that's what I did. A sad thing, I think for me, goodbyes are always sad, and especially elementary school, when you spend 6 years with the same people and then you just move on to the next level. Some people go different schools. Losing my friends was a very sad thing because they were the main focus of my life. again, like I tell you, in my family, I'm the youngest and the only girl.